Have you got the perfect solution for your ideal client, but have sat on the idea because the thought of actually launching it makes you feel physically sick? Or perhaps you've launched before and it was such a stressful, chaotic experience that you vowed you'll never do it again. We all know that content plays a huge role in your launch strategy, but it can also give you a huge headache. So, in this episode, I'm going to cover how you can stay aligned, reduce your overwhelm, and approach your launch with clarity and calm by using one simple approach.
Welcome to the Powerful Content Podcast, your go-to source for content creation, strategy, and business inspiration. I'm your host, Mel Daniels, content strategist, coach, and speaker, empowering women across the globe to grow their business with powerful content that connects, nurtures, and converts. So, if you're ready to create standout content that gets you noticed and remembered, or build an aligned audience who love you and are ready to buy from you, you're in the right place. I believe that content has the power to connect us all. It's up to you how you use it. Listen in for genuine and insightful chats with guests, as well as practical tools and strategies from me. It's so lovely to have you here. Let's dive into the show. I acknowledge the Wongal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the country that I am recording from today. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waters. I pay my respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all First Nation people listening today.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to episode 164 of the Powerful Content Podcast. I hope you're well. Now, today's topic came into being as a result of a conversation that I had with someone recently who was about to launch a new course. She was bouncing between creating things in Canva, testing ChatGPT prompts, and trying to show up on Instagram and Facebook, and she had 15,000 tabs open in her brain as well as her computer. All the while, she was trying to write a sales page, trying to figure out how to run a free challenge and scheduling a reel. It really felt quite chaotic and overwhelming just listening to her. But what struck me the most in this conversation was that her content was really feeling last minute, and she was second guessing everything she wrote and she created. And from my perspective, she was clearly burning herself out trying to do hashtag all the things, despite the fact that she felt like she wasn't doing enough. But do you know what she was actually missing? It definitely wasn't effort and it wasn't motivation. She had both of those things. It was structure, it was space, and it was clarity. She really needed a content plan that felt doable, felt meaningful, aligned with her energy. And so I thought, well, why not bring this idea to the podcast this week to talk about? So if you've been sitting on an idea for a while, firstly, go and check out last week's episode for how I created a course in a day. But if you've been sitting on the idea, not knowing how to actually let people know about it in a way that feels really easy and doable, then this episode will help. Even if your course or offer is evergreen, meaning that the doors are always open, you'll definitely pick up some tips on how you can get it out into the world for the very first time, or perhaps bring some new energy to the way that you actually promote it. So what part does content actually play in launching? Well, content is the heartbeat of your launch. It's what carries your message, it builds the anticipation, and it guides your audience from just watching to I'm all in. And it's so much more than a few Instagram posts. It's even much more than just promotion. And I think that this is probably where a lot of people fall down with their content. They're totally focused on the selling, but using content with purpose is all about the full experience from the first touch to the final decision. It really holds and captures the emotion, the connection, the storytelling, the proof, and the strategy. And when all of this is done with intention, it doesn't just sell your offer, it doesn't just sell your thing. It really sets your client up for success when they go to work with you. So how can you do all of this? How can you create content in a way that actually makes sense, feels good, and most importantly, is doable? Well, I'm not going to make you wait the entire episode to find out what the simplest and easiest way is to look at content and launching is quite simply the client journey. Now, a launch is like a squished up client journey. It's a hyper focused 4 to 6 weeks of taking your ideal client through those stages of connect, subscribe, nurture, convert, and onboard for a very specific outcome, and that being your offer. So, what does this squished up client journey look like from a content perspective? Well, let's take a look. So, in the connect phase, this is before your audience ever signs up for anything. Content is how you build trust and how you build rapport and how people get to know you. This is where you share your beliefs. You show your audience that you get their struggles and you offer tiny wins or solutions that build confidence in you as the guide. And you can do this through a number of means with your content. You can do it through social media, creating core content. That's a blog, podcast, or video that educates you, guest blogging or podcasting, showing up in Facebook groups and having conversations in DMs. Your content starts the conversation before your offer ever enters the room. Now, the second phase is the subscribe phase, and this is where you're gently helping them understand the why behind your offer before you ever pitch. And it's content that shifts their beliefs, introduces key ideas, or frames the problem that they have in a way that makes them go, oh, yes, this is exactly how I've been feeling. And it also gives them a quick win or a first step towards solving it. And you can do this through your lead magnet. And if you want to know more about creating a lead magnet, I'll pop some links to past episodes from the podcast in the show notes so you can find out how to create yours. Now, you can use content in the subscribe phase through social media posts, using your core content to promote your lead magnet, having a CTA to your lead magnet. And the second level of that subscribe phase is if you're holding an event. So that looks like a webinar, a workshop, a 5-day challenge, anything where you get to showcase your expertise. So the subscribe stage is really the bridge between their curiosity and their readiness to purchase from you. The next phase is the nurture phase. So your emails, lives, posts, even the DMs that you reply to, they all keep your audience very close to you. They create that momentum and keep your people engaged through the lead up, the event, and then the cart open phase as well. And during your event, the content sets the tone, primes them for transformation, and preps them to take action. You can do all of this with your content by leading them to your core content that you've created specifically around the launch through your email marketing. You can make sure that you keep interest up with value and problem solving in your regular emails as well. Now, the next phase is the convert phase. Now your audience is warm, they're curious, they're paying attention, hopefully. Content helps them cross the bridge and become a paying client. Now, you can do this with your content with social media, sharing social proof, such as posts with testimonials or case studies. You can also use scheduled emails that address the possibilities that your thing creates in their lives or any objections that they may have. And then that last phase is the onboard phase. And, once someone says yes, content becomes part of your client experience, one where they want to tell the world about you. So you could use welcome emails, bonuses, or VIP content that makes them feel seen, and content that affirms that they've actually made the right choice. So, like everything I teach, this is not about following a formula. There are no shorts here, and you really can take what resonates with you and totally leave the rest behind. But a launch runway, the time that the hyper-focused client journey starts and when it ends, typically begins 6 weeks out from launch date. And it can work with less, but it just squishes the journey tighter. And in my opinion, you need to be super on point with your messaging for that to work. The absolute minimum I'd suggest is 4 weeks, but let's assume that you have 6 weeks to do a thorough and well thought out plan. So know that before you start this planning process, the tools that you have available to you will really dictate what you can achieve in the time that you have available. Now, you know that I love Kajabi. As an all-in-one platform, I can create a lead magnet, opt-in pages, email sequences, create the event and all of the event emails that go with it, schedule regular emails, create my sales pages at checkout, all from the platform super easily and quickly. Now, if you don't have something like this available to you, then you can totally piece together different pieces of technology and it's still totally doable. It's just probably going to take a much longer time to do it. But if you're listening to this episode in April or May of 2025, then Kajabi have got a crazy deal at the moment where you can check out the platform for 3 months for just $99. And if you use my affiliate link, which is down in the show notes, you will also receive over $1,500 worth of bonuses from me as well. Now, remember, there is no expectation of what you should be doing here. A successful launch does not depend on how many reels you share or how often you turn up on social media. It doesn't depend on how often you email or even how many times you turn up live. But there are 8 steps that I like to teach my members of the Content Effect to help them prepare content for their launch. So the first step is to choose your dates. And this is really important to know when each phase actually starts. So start with your offer start date. So that's when your course, your membership, your group program, coaching program, whatever you're offering goes live. And then work backwards from there. So the first date is the close cart date, which is when you close the doors to your offer. And then there is the open cart date. So this is often the same date as your event. And then your event date, this is often about a week before the offer start date. And the runway start date is typically 6 weeks before your offer start date. So that's a lot of dates to put in place, but it will really help you have a focus and a date to actually work towards. Now, the second step is understanding that client journey. And if you're breaking down focus based on the client journey, then week 1 to 2 is usually around connect. Week 2 to 3 is subscribe. Weeks 4 to 5 nurture, and week 6 convert. Really get specific on what your ideal client is thinking, feeling, and doing at each of the phases in the launch. And this will really help you when it comes to writing social media posts or creating that core piece of content. Now, step number 3 is your message focus. And this is really about how it will shift across the 6 weeks, if at all. So with your message that matters, it's understanding the who, your ideal client, the what, the transformation or the possibilities that you're providing, and the you, how you bring yourself to your offer. Now, step 4 is mapping your emails across the 6 weeks. Now, this includes your regular emails and how that fits into any automated emails that might go out. So automated emails off the back of someone subscribing to your lead magnet or automated emails off the back of the event that you've created. So you need to think about all of those because you don't want someone to be receiving 3 different types of emails all at once. It would be a little bit confusing. Step number 4 is all about your core content. So how many pieces of core content are you going to release during this launch phase? And I really, really, really recommend to keep your existing schedule as a minimum. So if you create a blog every fortnight, then stick to that. I really encourage you, if you can, to throw in an extra 1 or 2 blogs, but really just as a minimum, stick to your existing schedule. And then make sure that you're adding your calls to action to your core content. So to download your lead magnet, to attend your event, or to purchase your offer, whatever is appropriate for that stage of the client journey. Step number 6 is to know your lead magnet. Do you need a new one? Or are you going to use an existing one? And if you use an existing one, do you need to change the automated emails that come off the back of it? Step number 7 is all about the event if you're having one. Are you creating a new webinar or challenge? And what are all the things that need to go into creating that? This is where you can think about listing out the email dates and the types of emails that you have here. So you might have reminder emails, you might have sending out the recording emails, you might have different emails for people who turned up to those who didn't. You may have emails about your offer and offer reminder. There's so many different emails that can come off the back of that. But if you plan them out first, then it will become so much easier during your launch. And then step number 8 is just those ad hoc things. So keeping notes and keeping track of anything that's pertaining to the launch. So do you need to turn off webinar sales pages or some automations? And this is where you can make notes to follow up on people who were interested, who clicked links or commented on social media posts. So that's the 8 steps that I recommend that you go through in order to create a really aligned and easy launch when it comes to your content. Now, a quick example of what content might look like each week, if you followed that, is week 1, you could share a behind the scenes story or a personal story around the transformation that you're actually helping with. Week 2 could be you drop a blog that speaks directly to a key challenge that your ideal client is having and that your offer solve. Week 3 would be to promote your lead magnet that's really aligned with your launch. Week 4, you could promote your free event and go deeper with your nurturing, with your email sequences. Week 5 is all about pre-selling or teasing the offer through your email marketing as well as your social media posts. And week 6 is about that conversion week and going all in with testimonials or covering objections and offer focused content. Now, I know this probably sounds like a lot, but there are some really common mistakes that I see people make that really leave them feeling stretched too thin or just really disappointed post launch. And the first one is over creating. Please, you do not need to create 25 emails and 100 Instagram posts in order for your launch to be successful. Despite what those big name experts say out there, you don't need a formula and you don't need swipe files. You just need to be your beautiful, unique self and do what you're capable of within your time, your energy, and your resources. Another mistake is ignoring the nurture phase. So please don't disappear after they subscribe, after they get your lead magnet, or after they go to your event. Going straight from subscribe to convert is missing out on one of the most crucial stages of a launch and the client journey, really. By having a plan in place, even if it's just a loose one, for my free spirit archetypes out there, it's going to help you stay focused and not drop off. And the third mistake is not having a follow-up plan. So not everyone buys on day 1 or even day 2, and that's okay. Really think about the content that you'll create during the open cart phase and personally reach out to people who you think may be a great fit. And at the end of the launch period, I'd really encourage you to pencil in at least one piece of content for after the cart closes. And this is a reflection post or a celebration story. Not only does this show your audience that you're a real human being, no matter what the outcome was of your launch, but it also gives you a really great chance to give yourself a moment to be proud of what you've done, what you've achieved, whether you've managed to sell 1,000 things or none at all. Okay, so you know that I love reflection. It really gives us a moment to sit and be with ourselves and to look for the opportunities for personal growth. So here's a few questions that you can ask yourself. What does success look like and feel like for me in this launch beyond the numbers? So is it about confidence, consistency, showing up more fully? The second question is, where can I simplify without sacrificing the impact I want to make? So how can you trust your instincts and energy levels during the launch? And what do I need emotionally, mentally, practically to feel supported during this launch? Is it a mindset check-in? Is it co-working or asking for help from a friend or even the family? I often hand over all of the cooking to my hubby for a few days. So what is it that you need? Okay, so I hope this episode has given you some insights on how you can use the client journey to make your launch feel so much more aligned, less overwhelming, and more doable. And what I really want you to take away from this episode is that your launch doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be chaotic or mega structured in order to be successful, whatever that means to you. It just needs to be intentional and purposeful and really supported by the kind of content that feels right for you and the humans that you are here to help. And if you're sitting on an idea for a digital product or other service-based offer at the moment, but have no clue where to start, or perhaps you've been overthinking it for way too long, then I've created something just for you. It's a free guide on how to make your first $100 on Kajabi. So inside, I'm going to walk you through the things that you actually need to make your first sale. It's short, it's actionable, and really designed to help you take real steps forward without the overwhelm. So head to thecontenteffect.com.au/sales or pop on down to the show notes to download your copy. Because your first $100, well, it's not about the money. It's really about momentum. And I'm here for every step of it with you. Talk soon.
Thanks so much for listening. That's it for another week. To get more powerful content in your life, make sure you're following along on socials. My handle is @meldbusiness. And just in case you're wondering, the groovy music for this podcast was created by Just Here on SoundCloud. I'd also be super grateful if you took a moment to rate and review this podcast so more amazing women like you can experience the power of content. And if you're like, hell Mel, stop talking, I'm ready to work with you now, here's how we can work some powerful content magic together. Firstly, come and join the Content Effect, my membership inspiring women with service-based businesses to ditch the content chaos and start creating stand-out content that gets you noticed and makes sales. You can join us by using the link in the show notes or just Google the Content Effect. The second way we can work together is via my one-on-one packages. We can create a sustainable content strategy or start to build out your client journey. It's up to you. Hop on over to meldbusinessservices.com.au/services to find out more. Until next time, have a beautiful week and embrace the power of your content.